Welcome, everyone. Okay, I had to look. Usually I look at the record button, I hit record, and then I come over. And every time I started, this time I was like, I'm gonna look at the camera, like, hit record. Hello, everyone. Well, I guess I didn't need to. Anyway, so here's Florida, as you can see. Yesterday, I spent some time at this place. Cool little intro, maybe. We're gonna look at some rocks down here in a second. They're from right here. One of them's this one right here. The other's nearby. It might even be that one. I don't think so. I don't see it, but it was from this angle too, so. Okay. So there's that. This is the one that I just pointed to. The top of it. And then the base. Underneath a top layer thing is this base. This layer thing has layers across it. You can see all the layering to the layer thing. Where this is not like that, which is interesting. Notably, it's got this section. So this is my thoughts, is that looks a lot like this. Which is kind of shell-like. Basically, it's shell-like. So I'm looking for fractal things. I'm like, that looks like a shell. Like, I think that's a shell. I actually think that's a shell. Just a fractal one and formed of just larger particles to a point where it looks more just like layers of earth, but like it's got the nuances of a shell. This is interesting, the way at the edge it's got all these little divots, like regularly spaced, kind of like a shell has. This one doesn't really have quite that, but it's hard to see. Let me maybe make this bigger. Hello. Like, this thing isn't quite a shell, but I think it would still be considered generally actually from a shell somehow, like essentially from like right here. This is real smooth. I put all the yesterday's finds and the first time's finds together. These are actual shells. I guess I could just pull up seashells to compare. But I'm thinking like the innard part here, the inside. Generally, it's got that kind of thing going on. Okay. Let's go ahead and just one more time. And then just the layering compared to this. Why exactly it does that, I don't know. Notice here, the same thing going on. But this one's shape is not like, not so much the big round type of shape of the other one. This one's more elongated. Maybe I can find a decent example. The first one, I guess, is more like a standard shape shell, like this. This one, I'm not sure if I can find a great example. Maybe this one. Kind of thin here, and then fanning out and staying more straight over here, and then having ridges along this section, especially. Notice that at the nub, there's like currents flowing around it. Like there's lines that wrap around this. It has a little nub, so that's notable. Like it's got some shell contours. It doesn't have a cross here defined, but it does have the overall shape. That it doesn't have the more definition, I'm not sure what to make of it. Maybe there's more subtle definition that's like filled with a matrix almost, that just has more like a flat surface. But it kind of shows perhaps how some of these seashells form, like by physically forming with like the rocket face, with the shell facing outward, and then like a current flow that's getting between the rock and the shell material that's forming, that then creates these channels, seemingly. Like, I'm thinking comes in over here and then essentially fans out over this way, widens into multiple channels. I'm not sure if you guys can see that. Okay, so back to Florida. These are images from Casperson Beach, which I believe it's right here. If you notice, this is called Myakka Park here. This section here, like this river, generally speaking, pointing to here. And then maybe this pointing here, or also this. I was thinking more this way. But generally, this whole region right here looks kind of like rocks I've seen. Let me see if I can find it. Maybe this one. That this way. Almost like it's like I was thinking, is it possible there's like bigger fractals like here? This looks kind of like a tooth shape that I've been coming across. Sorry. Like just another random one that in the same jar. I guess this is in the, oh no, it's in the right jar. I guess this way, just to show the shape next to that. Point is, it's like it doesn't matter what scale it is, but fractally it's doing the same things. It just didn't like fully break off here, where it's still part of Florida. But I'm thinking maybe these points indicate directionally, like generally speaking, like this way, something going this way that goes here. So here's Casperson and Venice Beach, is here. Here's Casperson Beach. So this whole area here is well known for shark teeth. Well known. Which is extremely odd to me. Anomalously odd that right here and Manasota Key, like this whole region here is very well known for shark teeth. Is extremely odd to me, as well as like the whole state even. But I'm thinking. Let's go to my animations. Where is it? This one. Let me open portal.gplates.org/cesium/?view equals emag2_v2. So generally speaking, I interpret a current to have flowed from this point and generally in all directions, but more so flowing this way because of just the circumstances, but all directions ultimately, and then creating balances as we see them, and then it flowed generally this way directly under North America, filling, which is where a ocean was, or basically like as it approached here, a current under the crust that was flowing from even deeper in the earth upward and upwelling into below the crust. This current flowed this way under the crust, and then it reached over here where an ocean was above the crust, not the Atlantic Ocean, but an ocean above Canada, pretty much above this region, and others probably. I don't know exactly the boundaries of this ocean. I just know for certain it was generally over here, and it exchanged. That's why it's like very blue here, because the current was flowing, but then over here the current was flowing underneath water that was heat exchanging and solidifying it, so it really started to slow the current down, and it just pushed a wall that created a container, and as the pressure here filled, and it just continued to fill with more dense regions because of the heat exchange, it led the current to flow this way, where it then, and this way, basically along between the Appalachians and this boundary, with a center boundary here, I believe, essentially flowing there, and then fanning out like so. I know. How many tabs, bruh? Fanning out like so. Notice where Florida is. So it's current comes down and then it goes up this way and more in line with the current down this way. So this one's going more in line. This one's like, oh, shiza. Like, directionally changed because there's another current coming in this way, creating the Mariana Trench, but flowing in, pressuring between this current basically here, creating a divide where some of it goes this way. I don't know if a bit there is actually true to at least here, although this is interesting that it has this line that kind of goes over here that maybe is related. But so I'm thinking like these shark teeth are not shark teeth, at least the fossils. And all these rocks show really interesting things. Like that's why this is so important, that there's like a huge shell. This is like 2 feet across. I mean, you can see how close I get. Like, this is as if, like, right in front of me. This is how big the shell is right in front of me. It's huge. This one's the size of my hand, pretty much. Also, relatively large. Huge, even. But, like, something's going on with this rock, where it's got all these layers going this way, and then suddenly these layers going this way, but then here it goes across still. And whatever else is going on with this rock. This one's got like a chakra, a very distinct shallogram opening. Scroll down, I'll find some sooner. Like these. This nub. Which is on a bunch of the circle ones. Pretty much all of them have that little nub. Little nub. Although this one seems to just be here and not have as much depth, but it does go in and then open up into space, so maybe like it started out more like the other one, and this is what happens when it really opens up space. Just an interesting rock. All sorts of stuff going on. Bunch of little like indentations. This one was real interesting because it had, like, if you picked up a rock, like this rock, save image 6. Like, they're literally part of the stone of the overall structure is these rocks that then some of them flow into rocks like they're one with the structure. It's very interesting looking rock. I don't think I did justice to it here, but bunch of layering again. Bunch of layering. Another sort of shell looking part, and over here there's just a bunch of them that they're not quite as shell like that I took videos of them, but they were still like reminiscent of the same process. Another kind of node type thing with the surroundings all open, and this one's very eye-shaped. I wonder, I should have looked around to see if it has like an Eye of Ra down below here kind of shape. Eye of Horus. Okay. So I'm like, what is going on here? That's why I hit record, because I was kind of thinking about it, like, you know, what am I going to record? What am I going to talk about anymore? I haven't really been doing research. Like, I'm kind of tired of... I feel like too many videos is getting out of hand. Like, I really need them to be high grade in terms of at least having something I would like to talk about already. Oh, this is interesting. There's almost a circle here, right here, that generally here, but has like another one here. Something. Let's check it out. See if there's any detail. I presume these are the data related. I'll just assume that. Like the way this is here. It's certainly a current going this way. That's like, imagine this is extended, but there's a current flow this way and it's just blowing in the wind. And then it freezes like that with that shape. Oh, I don't know if it's actually blowing in the wind. I was thinking though, like if you think about it, this Florida, the peninsula of Florida, would have been physically above like even though I make it disappear, it would have been above this. Like I feel like this layer that I cut out from, this is the Western Pacific here where the Mariana Trench is. This layer, which was here, it was directly here, essentially was very deep. This is my thoughts, is it was so deep that it was almost like a second layer below this that we see here. Like this, the region when this is gone. Like all of Mexico, all the Gulf, like this was above this other current flow that was creating the Western Pacific, and then the Western Pacific, which was below, moved away, and then leaving behind the upper layer that was more just like continuation of the layer that was forming everywhere else. And the double stacking aspect was just because it was like building pressure here, and so it kind of went underneath like this here, like generally coming in here on below the crust. Imagine this is the crust. Below the crust is a layer, but then it goes down to other layers and flows out and produces layers below the layer that is flowing on. And this is the Pacific that then moves out and basically goes up to be more like in unison with the rest of the earth. As the earth expanded, kind of like slid out and then restabilized. But it slid out from under this. So it's like boiling. This current is coming in, running into the other current that then is just boiling pretty much here in this region, creating upward current flows of steam and water that are flowing through and creating just a lot of porosity. That's my thoughts, is there's a lot of porosity here creating like this type of structure where it even formed like a slit. Oh my god. Oh my god. Where's that rock? I've got rocks. It was really interesting. Here it is. Let's see if we can see this. I'll do my best. Notice this hole. I know it's very blurry, I can see that. but there's a little hole inside of it. Oh God. Oh dear Lord. Okay, now we can see it. There's the hole. See, it's very circular, and there's a hole inside. Where did we just see that through? Did we see it through there? Oh, wait a minute. False alarm. Wait, false alarm? I don't know if that's a false. No. Okay. Point is, on this side, there's this line. There it is. There it is. Okay, you just for a second you could see through and see me through the line it showed. Okay. So, like, if it's boiling underneath it, maybe underneath it. Let's check out this. There's no, like, distinct something of that nature. That looks much more even associated with the lake. But generally, I'm thinking maybe that's what's going on here, and then it got filled in with like a different material. Instead of just being like a gaping hole, is more like a hole filled with sandy, subtle particles, maybe. I'm not sure what this is composed of, but it looks like it's not quite as able to be green. This whole very straight stretch that it's suggestive that there's an inlet that then ends up fanning out into a thing of that nature. Let's see. And then maybe in so doing, like, it encourages current generally through this region, which then leads to a lot of the porosity here, like just the energy as a whole. But maybe this is actually the current from the Mariana Trench and the current from this way. Even though it's going this way, maybe it bends generally enough to be going across this way at that point, so that another current coming in here from the Mariana Trench, basically this current, let's look at it. It starts over here, you can see the width of it, down this way, down through here, down through here, down to the Mariana Trench tip. Let me do that again. You can really see it here, right here, through here. And then just generally the width of this. So like from here down through to there, through here, and then again we can kind of see it over here, like especially that. From there across to the tip, basically. Where the upper one does the same thing. This boundary comes down, goes across, cross somewhere. I'm just going to do it quickly. I think it's essentially there to the top of the Mariana Trench. So it's basically the Mariana Trench is a current flow this way that then is running into this other current and going in between it and causing it a current that's flowing like this to basically become two currents that divide. It's one current, but because another current's coming in and colliding with it, it begins to become two currents that separate. Mind you, this other current is also dividing. It's not just... Okay, light. I am not a light expert. Isn't it ironic? Don't you think? Okay, it comes in right there, though, generally, and divides it. So maybe... Let's go back right here. Oh, maybe. If we follow the Mariana Trench, like this way, generally across here, this line right here is worth noting. I think it's very closely related still. And maybe even this right here. I don't think that's where I put Florida exactly, but let's see. Now that I looked around. There's that line. Down here, pretty much. I put it down there. So that pretty well fits that. This structure that runs along here. Okay, we're looking for this. Must go down this way or something. So Florida in here is much more over here. This map is turned. I think I can turn it too to make it more like that, like it needs to be. More like it. I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. I guess not. I swear I can though. Oh yeah, I'm doing it. Okay. Wrong way, but I'm doing it. I think it's like that, right? This is going this way. It's probably not. It's closer. Okay, it's closer. Way closer. Okay. So then... This here is probably... This upper one is probably going through Florida here. So Florida is generally in this region, I guess. Which then leads into... It certainly leads into the dragon shape in terms of proximity to things. Dragon shape, the Pacific, mid-Pacific mountains that have these, which are related to this structure down here, emitting currents, basically having a swirling structure here. I talk about in the Earth's undercurrents and all my underground science videos that are about it, but Earth's undercurrents. And then it basically, a current also goes down here, goes down here. Oh, how much time have I just been talking to you guys like this? Dear Lord. Fuck, I gotta go back at least 2 minutes. This couple minutes. It was literally that rock. Okay, it was that rock. So we gotta go back to that rock. It's part of me, guys. Awkward. But yeah, that rock made me think of here. Where the porosity is. Sorry about that. Feel free to just kind of look and then refer to what I said. Just talking about here. Sorry. And then the mid-Pacific Mountains over here. And then we're looking at this. We're looking at this. where I talked about so much. Fuck, it was probably like 5 minutes, huh? Where this current, I was all careful too. Look at where the current, it's exactly here. We'll even zoom in this time. Right here. Okay, we'll do it again, generally across here. But then we pick it up more clearly here, right here. Okay. That's like the boundary here. Going up from here. Across there. And then it continues subtly across here. And then we see it some more down here. And then we're at the Mariana Trench tip. And then the other side is here. Down through here. Down through here somewhere. Where is it? Across this way. Oh, I think it's actually across here. This one's more subtle. Maybe through here. Whatever. Basically to here. Okay. So those things are flowing in here opposite to this current, dividing it, like I was saying. And then it divides also because this current really goes also up this way, up here, and then out this way, interacting here, across here, interacting. In this region, and creating these things. And this, that goes all the way up here, down, all the way up, down, and then this thing here. Okay. So, I think that was enough to, like, kind of make sense of what I was saying without going back and figuring out what I was saying. And I could, I guess, edit the video, but that's too much effort to render. That's why I don't edit, because rendering's a pain in the ass. When you make hour videos all the time, I guess it wouldn't be an hour if I was making rendered videos, but this one would be. So Florida is just hanging out here at the epicenter. We can even see coming from like this region of the Mariana Trench and this region, there's a current going this way and a current going this way across. This actually probably goes all the way to this. This structure is probably closely tied. So there's a current flowing here. Oh yeah, we just looked at this. So what was I thinking? I was thinking this current came this way and basically forced the current this way. So there's a current going this way. Going here. Two currents pass, so maybe there's both. One from the Mariana Trench and one going this way, flowing across, and then two currents here, so maybe this current is also flowing across, involved in creating this and this. Oh, not so much this one, although maybe this one too. Maybe this is the Mariana Trench flow this way, and then this is the the African flow, the flow from northern Africa going westward this way, eastward, westward maybe. I don't know why. It seems more like this is like breaking into two, but maybe both things where this vibrational aspect is because there's two currents that are like going on near each other and interacting, maybe like bouncing off each other and not even like crossing, or just crossing above and below one another in some way. That's an interesting thought, though. I didn't think about that. The relationship from Northern Africa to these eyeball shapes. This one's it's probably not exact. Notably, this eyeball shape here is maybe more in this region underneath. If that's the case, then it would be a little further over. This looks pretty good as a boundary, like that the boundaries were similar. And Florida has like patchiness there. This is actually much bluer, maybe? I'm thinking, let's see. Like where Florida was looks less like it has Pacific Ocean missing. The plate of the Pacific Ocean plate that slid out, that had a connection to Florida. Maybe the portion just mostly stayed here, but the rest slid out, and it made it more like this. This is like straight up missing probably in this region. Like this looks like it was filled in by these currents that filled in the eastern Pacific, which really came in this way, flowed in, and also over here somewhere. I believe over here, I'm not, definitely flowed in from here and interacted with another flow probably from down here. Maybe from through here. That was going over this way, but ended up going this way. And then going up this way and interacting with this current going down this way, crossing like this, creating an interlocking web of some current that has ties to one pole and some current that has ties to another pole, maybe. Or just creating, like, I don't know exactly, but I'd like to have some thoughts on Florida. So here's where all these shark teeth are, though, like right there. I mean, if you imagine a current passing through something, it's kind of like what, like I was just saying, like this. It's gonna create things that are like dripping off of the current in a way where maybe it literally creates like teeth of things that, like, for instance, this. I mean, I'm probably not seeing enough to give this a fair representation of it. It's hard to say. But it looks very much like a tooth. But it's really a seashell. And there's a bunch of them that are tooth-like in shape, like this one, that are not teeth, but look kind of tooth-like. I know my camera sucks for that. Especially. Anyway, okay, let's move it back. I know my face was, oh my god, I gotta show you guys this one. Let's go back there, actually. This one's so cool. I found this yesterday. I couldn't believe it. It was real early in when I was looking. It was like one of the first things I picked up. Like, what is going on? Okay, it's hard to focus on it. Come on, camera. I wish I could like tap it like a phone to make it choose the focus. Oh. Okay, let me just describe it. I'll take some pictures and I'll post them for sure. There's very distinct like grooves here, here. So one groove, two groove, one groove, and then this out protrusion thing, like a seashell type of thing, maybe. Up, down. And then not so much here, but a little bit here in this groove, so almost like three grooves. And then this face is completely, well, not completely, but pretty flat. A little odd shaped, I mean. So this is the side we were just talking about. Groove. So I'll put my finger down this groove on this side. Opposite the groove is a bunch of little grooves. And then opposite this groove is a bunch of little grooves. But these ones, opposite this groove, they split. Like, they don't function the same as the ones over there. It's almost like the nuances of the circumstances were different. And then over here, they go down this side. And then again, there's ridges. But it's not, like, full of ridges. It's also got this, like, protruding thing here. That's just, like, sticking out. I mean, I'm not sure if this would be considered a seashell whatsoever. Like, it doesn't really look like a seashell, so I don't think there's any seashells. I mean, I certainly am no expert of seashells, but I don't think there's any seashells that look like this. So it's really just some kind of rock with these features. It's got all sorts of things, but over here, you can maybe see it right here. There's a bunch of little pores. It's much more like a carbonate material. Calcium carbonate, maybe. Yeah, much more like that. Silica carbonate, maybe even. Like a real soft material. Whatever it is very soft. The rock itself is maybe not the hardest material, but it's certainly not that material. So it's got that material with these pores. And then if I look closely, it's hard to, I'll have to take a picture. There's this ridge here that's protruding outward between the indentations. There's a ridge that has a tiny little pore at the top. I think you can kind of see it right there. That dark spot is a pore. Right there. And then interestingly, that dark spot follows along, and then as you can see again, there's a pore. So there's a channel down this thing. And then this pore doesn't go just this way, it also goes to the side this way. So there's actually two pores. 1, 2 out of this one channel, like it bifurcates. I think that's the appropriate use of that word. I'm not Googling that word. I'm not. I know you guys I know you guys can't see, so you just gotta take my word for it, but I was not Googling that word, so it bifurcates. Then there's a inlet seaming again up here, and another one that then comes down, and again, so like, when I look at this rock, there's a bunch of pores down along this section at the base of these ridges, and then there's some pores at the tops of the ridges. Very odd. And then the thickness section here, the thickest section has in terms of like sheer width, like that it's pretty thin, generally speaking. But this section is maybe the thickest, and it has that carbonate material that looks much more like, if I saw something made of just that, I would be like, okay, that's probably going to be called a coral. But because it's not just made of that, and it's made of all sorts of other things, it's like, what this thing is incredible, truly. And it even stands like, oh, it's like the major. Also not Googling. Jesus, scene, Christmas lights. Nativity. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay, so anyway, I certainly didn't Google those words. Okay, you knew I Googled it, it's fine. Okay, here's another one. Maybe I'll just stay here while we're at it. So that was found here in this region. I believe it's around here. I believe right here. Or no, I found that like over here. I found it over here. Parked over here. I think. Yeah. Yeah, there's parking. Or is that where I parked? I don't know. Wherever the parking is. Maybe there. Where is it? That can't be where I parked. That's gotta be. But I feel like it was like that looks really. Maybe not. So that's interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like these are just rocks that are there. I don't think anyone did that. What the? That's crazy. Seriously, what? Oh, wow. That's probably a good spot. Okay. Anyway. So this one, I don't know. Let me look around. I mean, there's something interesting about that one, but again, another one with a pore. I don't know if you can see it. Let's go back full screen. Pore. Now you can kind of see the two pores. Come on, buddy. Moving it in. We just saw a pore. Okay, 2 pores. That's all. That one. This one's kind of interesting. It's layered this way, but interesting more so this way. Just like any rock that just suddenly and abruptly changes material is interesting. This one. So this one. Notice this thing. It's made out of the matrix, let's say. But it's got a roundedness to it. And from this angle, it looks kind of like it's like something's going on. Like a current's getting in underneath it. Maybe influencing its overall shape to be more shell-like. Just a thought. I even looked around, there's like on this side. This, the white here, it goes up and that way. Is on the opposite side from the inlet side. Then there's white on this side. Some kind of stuff going on that's more than just like this type of structures that look like little embedded shells, but given that it's creating shells, maybe not, I would say. And it's just the shape of it's kind of interesting with this. Again, sort of tooth-like. I mean, it's not as tooth-like presently, but it's reminiscent of some sort of process being present that's creating an elongation. Let's see, this one I found most interesting because at the top of it there, if you can see, right there, there's 4 openings in a little grid. 2 of them I can see from this side, the top ones, but the bottom ones, the right one is visible and the left one is barely started. The top 2 go through. The bottom ones, the right one kind of goes in but doesn't go through. And then the bottom one, actually the bottom one goes through. It just goes through at a different angle. So maybe they all go through. It's hard to say. Sometimes I see the light through openings. I'm like, oh, ew, there's a way through for that one too. It didn't just kind of get in there and get caught up and stop. Like it found a way through all of these, it seems. It's probably through the tiniest of pores too, to a point where like it's really went through. But sometimes the pores open up bigger to be more detectable. Okay, so that one though, the 4 little spots are very much like this rock that I took pictures of here. I've been coming across this more frequently than I would expect. Like I've never really seen that in rocks, and then suddenly I see it here, and I see it here, and I've seen it other places. I believe that's not the second time. Like I've seen it more and more, and it's just been kind of coming up in terms of like this structure here that I believe is kind of like a swastika shape that relates to the energies of that structure, which then maybe relates to what's going on with, like, my thought is maybe a current goes in and maybe induces a nearby outlet as a secondary current, and then that So like a first current goes in, that leads this to an overwhelming pressure the other way in some like fractal way that then comes back and goes back, but then it's getting through to the other side again, maybe. I don't, or they're all through from one side and like it's not enough for one, but I'm not sure why they would make these squares. So it makes me think of threads, like an actual threading a needle and like sewing, something of that nature, where the current goes in and then like comes back as a secondary current, but then it can tertiary do another one and another, maybe. Although not sure. I'm just not sure how it works. It's worth noting though, that's all, that that shape is showing up in these stones with enough regularity to be like, huh. Okay. Oh, I think this might even be one right here. This is one right here. Boom. So this side, it's a shell. It's gonna be hard to see. It's got some carving into it, and then embedded in it are little grains of maybe sand or something. Large grains of sand, if it's sand, but grains of something embedded. And then the rock itself is very smooth and layered. Small, tiny, but smooth and layered. Like maybe like this material. This one maybe will show better. At least you can kind of see the layering. But then on this side, this is what I found. You can kind of see it. 3 of them. And then the fourth one seemingly goes up and over. Like it's like it did it at a bad spot. So that the fourth one just went up and over. And then came through this region. But another with that pattern showing up. So it's definitely not random. Like it has some mechanism that's just like systematically happening in this location more so than others for some reason. Something to do with the current flows that are present here versus other places. Like it depends on the circumstances what outcome of the current flows. Okay, here's another seashell. Combined two seashells merged as one, if you will. Of course, I'm analyzing it under the concept that maybe it is one. It formed as one, maybe. Looking at it that way. So, from that angle, if we consider that possibility, I don't know. This one's a little odd because it has this opening. The one on this side here that goes under the shell and into that crevice here. There's an opening through the side between the two. It's very rounded. It's very rounded. Like the two shells are rounded as one. So they were certainly connected when that current flowed through the one shell, where it produced a rounded outlet through them both and not just through the bottom one and then the other one connected. So it was certainly connected before the pores were carved through it. But oddly, I think, it goes up, this pore, it goes up and then the seashell itself is there, so it actually goes over. So it's almost like it went up through this shell. Also, there's a opening here, so it's possible it vented that way. Maybe it went up through the shell, ran into the resistance of this other shell that maybe even was forming as this whole thing was forming. And then that led to an outflow through the side here to vent the pressure of this current flowing in that just was kind of building up. Maybe vented over here a little bit through that, or not, maybe not a little bit, but enough. It vented through this opening maybe, but it just couldn't break the two apart. And this was just too solid. So it went out the boundary. It went out the very edge instead of like the nucleus. Even though it had a cross current go through the nucleus, it went out the edge. More so is where it blew from the internal pressure. It's kind of what I'm thinking. But then there's another hole that just goes straight through. Not sure what to make of that. There's also another hole starting to be carved on the top here that doesn't actually make it through. That's about the same size as the actual hole, just to the side of it. It's very hard to see. Can kind of see it now. Not the little ones, but the bigger one. More towards it. More towards it. Oh yeah. I found another real cool one. Let's just pause on this one because I just grabbed this because it was big. I don't know if it was that exciting. It's got lots of little pores through for sure. Lots of shells in it. Nothing that was like especially grabbing my attention in it. Except for just that it was big and had lots of detail to look at. So here's this one. Dropping sand. Sand on the keyboard. Everyone likes sand on the keyboard. This one's cool, right? Whoa. This, whatever's going on here. Opening through here. This one doesn't go through. Well, seemingly. Let's get my phone lights. Let's see. Okay, we're gonna see if it goes through. Doesn't seem to go through. So there's two big all those things. Whatever's going on there, where the current seems to just be like. But then right next to it is that thing. Which very subtly, there's the other side of the rock. Up here, where it's dark, and this rounded section where it's dark, is like a continuation of this. This goes through. It goes physically through the rock. It's much darker on this side. Than that. But it's the same thing. Then there's a bunch of pores in just different colors. I haven't looked at this that much. It would probably be good to take pictures of this one Couple of these I need to take pictures of. It's just incredible the way it just carves these freaking indents. Just like my finger goes in there. I can wear it. I can wear this rock like this. Hello, I am Mr. Rock. How are you? Nice to meet you. Okay, okay. I know I'm not funny. It's fine. You don't have to laugh. I laughed. That's enough. It's enough for me to laugh at my jokes. It's enough for me to laugh. I don't need you guys to laugh at my jokes, okay? It doesn't hurt my spirit and my soul to know that I'm not entertaining anyone. Well, some people maybe, but thanks, guys. I appreciate it. So, is this some kind of balance point that was currents colliding, creating at least some kind of, I mean, why did this happen? It's so crazy. I don't know if I can easily Google this. Current interpretation on why there's a freaking straight line down the middle of Florida. Why is there a middle down the line? Oh my god, how again? Okay, wait, no, that just started. Okay, good. Whew. I forgot I was full screen again. You guys are like, no, he's gonna do it again. He's too busy thinking he's hilarious. Post on Twitter, like, you got the underappreciated aspect of my work, titling my videos. For instance, two birds, one stone. I mean, it's really one stone. Snakes on a plane. I mean, that one's still to this day. But it's not like stealing the thing if it's snakes on a plane. You guys talk about some nonsense. It's snakes on a plane. Like that shit. What is that storyline? I'm talking about snakes like here on a plane. You know what I'm saying? Whoa, wrong button, I guess. But why in the? It's interesting, at the top of this line, there's a little and a big. Little and big. They kind of. Maybe I'm just noticing it most because of the color. So another of those big ol' shapes like that. This one's like going down the coastline here. Like a chain. Literally. Not so visible up past here in this map. Let's see if it's visible here. Maybe that this more so went out this way. This went to here, which was next to here. So maybe that looks kind of like it continued here. which was adjacent to the Philippines, though. It was down here-ish, adjacent to the Philippines. Or, wait, down here? Somewhere over here. This went to here, about. Philippines went from here to here. Whoa. It's like it turned. Like if this was, if Australia was attached to the Philippines and turned this line coupled with these lines, and like left behind the Philippines, which were then physically conjoined to here. So like as it was conjoined, it left behind a piece, but that caused Sulawesi and North Maluku, this region, Maluku Island, Sulawesi, to break away, like out away, as this moved away, and just turning it. My feet are so sunburned. Whew. I never got swollen from sunburn. My feet are like, what have you done? Whew. Way better than last night, but I've never put so much cream on something in my life. Aloe, cortisone. Just dousing my feet. Don't die, feet. One would think well, actually, that's probably not true. Anyway. So, this is an hour 20 minutes, so I should probably stop. I don't know if I made much progress in terms of anything particular. Just kind of perusing Florida and the rocks, and certainly making some notable things and noting some notable things. But in terms of like major progressions in any way, probably not. But relative to the rest of my work, at least. Relative to the rest of my work, admittedly, because, like, if this had been, like, the first thing I ever discovered, if you will, these types of things, then maybe it would be more, I'd be like, wow, I'm so, like, what's the word? So used to it that I don't even appreciate what's happening to me in some ways. Just like, what is happening? Don't appreciate it. Wow, I'm so amazing. It's all me, obviously. Obviously. I'm so... Did you guys see me yet? How do I do this? How about now? Okay. That's real bright. Real bright. This goes like across that way. Got one like. Oh yeah, I was totally doing that. Why is there a line down the middle of Florida? Lake Wales Ridge. Okay, we found it. Lake Wales Ridge, sometimes referred to as the Mid-Florida Ridge, is a sand ridge. Okay, it is sand. So it's like more subtle. It reminds me of the sandiness here. The way I look at sand is it's like broken apart. It's not one with like this. This is all conglomerated into a unit. So like this is basically a unit, whereas a grain of sand is conglomerated with nothing because it's a grain of sand, unless it's like becoming part of larger systems, and then it's not really a grain of sand anymore. It's part of that larger system. But when there's just sand, it's kind of like pieces that are not connected, that are just kind of conglomerate or gathered together in like some region. That was definitely an outlet. Like current flowed in the region and brought with it broken pieces of particles, things that are broken down rather than built up because of the current flow and the type of the current flow, maybe water versus earth, if you will. Sometimes referred to as a sand ridge running for about 100 miles, clearly viewable from satellite. The white sands of the ridge are located in Highlands County, blah, 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 blah. Elevation of 295 feet. That's high for Florida. That's like a mountain in Florida. I mean, it's even called Iron Mountain. 295 feet. Crazy. Northern unconnected extension of the Lake Wales Ridge exists in the western Putnam County, Grandin. So there's an extension. Maybe here or here. Grandin, Florida. Oh, here. Oh. Maybe hit this. Oh, so it actually is longer. And this sand really points a lot at this stretch here. It's like a bubble going through it. Ancient sand islands stretch for... That's what they're called. Considered ancient sand islands. Glacial changes in the rising and falling of the oceans caused dramatic transformations on the Florida peninsula. Covered almost completely by water 2 million years ago, only a series of small islands existed. It is the remnants of those islands that make up today's Lake Wales Ridge. Come on, dudes. Although the waters have receded, the islands continue to support distinctive life forms found nowhere else. Today, several communities are located inside the sand ridge with the glaring white sands visible in many neighborhoods. There's no way this is ancient islands. I mean, maybe in terms of while the Earth was expanding, but 2 million years? That's so recent. Why would it be so recent? It would be after the Pacific moved. So after the Pacific moved, this plate, like solidifying material, plate moves. But this current keeps going, maybe, and as it's dying off, trickles out. Certainly flows through here. Maybe the current just slows to a trickle. Why would the current slowing down induce? It doesn't actually say when they formed. Lake Wales Ridge. It is highest and oldest ridge in Florida and extends about 100 miles, terminating in Venus, Highlands County. These ridges started forming millions of years ago. Through the rising, it doesn't say. Come on. Scholar. Lake Wales Ridge geology. Sub-lake geological structure from the high-resolution seismic reflection data from 4 sinkhole lakes in the Lake Wales Ridge. Sinkhole lakes. Where's that rock? Where are you? The one with the slits. Oh well. I must have put it somewhere else. Just thinking of the pores. It's just porous like the rocks in the state are. Fractal, as above, so below. As below, so above. As below, so above of the rock of like Florida. Generally speaking, like when the rocks are very porous like this, for sure the as above aspect is the same. Like they're not going to be really porous rocks found in like the areas of dense compacted materials the same way as at a place where current is literally carving past through it and making it porous, even on the small scale and the large scale. Let's see. Feet. Okay, I was hoping to see. I guess that's the ridge. Undifferentiated sand and clay. Peace River Formation. Arcadia Formation's crazy, actually. Like Ocala Limestone. Tampa member. It's so different when I'm like here. Like, what the fuck? Nice. Sea level. Sea level. I'd like to see when. I just would like to see when it formed. Let's go to. Maybe page 6, possibly. Let's see if we can find some info. Lakes, lake levels, study area, lake. I don't know if this is even focused on the ridge. Previous investigations, let's see if there's anything about when it formed. I don't see any words relating to time of formation. Citronelle Formation is the principal source of sand for concrete and other uses in Florida. Underlays a highland region known as Lake Wales Ridge. So it was basically concreted along the axis of the Florida Peninsula, which is attributed to upwarping and erosion of the citronelle. Upwarping, that suggests again that boiling aspect. Like some kind of pressure upward from currents. The slopes of the base of the formation, the origin and distribution of clays, and the absence of fossils in this region are evidence against origin as offshore bars. Difference in the heavy mineral suite indicate that it is not a terrestrial facies of the marine Hawthorne Formation of Miocene age, and is probably younger. Citronelle Formation? Its composition and sedimentary structure indicate a fluvial origin. Just water, flood, river. No. Well, a river of upward projecting maybe that then creates a slit. It ain't no river like that though. They can't date it, I guess. Miocene, I'm pretty sure that's way recent. Okay, that's somewhat better than the other date. still pretty recent. Thick sections of kaolinitic. Kaolinitic. Yeah. Okay, this white stuff. Soft white, that stuff. Okay. Okay, always open. Okay, so thick sections of sediment occur in Lake Wales Ridge. Central part. I need to make this smaller, I guess. Okay, okay. I don't know. I'll have to look into this, I guess. Very plastic and smooth working, requiring 44% water for plasticity. Unconformable contact between the citronelle formation and underlying materials. Unconformable contact. Citronelle formation is separated from the underlying Hawthorne formation by an unconformity developed under subaerial conditions. These citronelle sediments satisfy the essential features of a formation. That is, they can constitute a useful, mappable lithologic unit. Stratigraphically, the citronelle formation occurs higher than shell marls of late Miocene age and lower than Pleistocene sediments of Trail Ridge. In some areas, the citronelle sediments overlie materials listed on the 1945 geological map of Florida as the Bone Valley Formation. Laid down largely as clay sands, locally containing quartz gravel and discoid quartzite pebbles. Relation to late Miocene shell beds. Shell beds of late Miocene age have been encountered beneath the citronelle sediments in a number of localities. One example of such an occurrence can be cited from the pits of the Standard Sand and Silica Company just north of Davenport, Florida. Okay. Pretty old, this paper. People probably don't care about it. Geologically, Florida is not that interesting, it seems. At first glance, at least. I mean, sure, of course, it's interesting. It's just, it doesn't have mountains, I guess. When 300 feet is high in the state, that's pretty crazy. Water. Alright, looks very lacking. Lacking. Not studied geologically very much. Maybe it looks like by people who want the resources. that's who's looking there. The people who want the resources. It's not really studied in the same way as like the Himalayas are studied, or the Rockies are studied. Like they're studied for the sake of it, for understanding. Florida, this place, Lake Wales Ridge, looks like it's more so for the sake of, because resources, and even that's pretty lacking in terms of technical stuff. Let's get out of the scholar, see if we can find anything. I'm just gonna say the same thing. Ancient beach and dune systems that have stood above sea level for over 1 million years. Evidence of late prehistoric Belglade sites. I'm just wondering if, like, Florida, because it was above, like, a peninsula, it was literally sticking out, and then as the Pacific moved away and opened, it had, like, downward pressure from its weight, generally speaking, and that even though the process was slowing down, like water was filling the ocean more, so that as it went down, it was also like fueling water through its pores. And so maybe then like initially it didn't have sand really, but then as the water came, it brought sand and deposited materials enough. At a later point, as the state like depressed itself to a level where it's stable, maybe, I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense. Not much of anything there. Silica sand, 2 million years old from this one. Derived from sediments washed down from the Appalachians. Oh. That I could see. Instead of coming from below opened the thing, but then above brought like deposits. And saying Appalachians honestly isn't like the worst location, considering here's the Appalachians. And then like along here are the Carolina bays that seemingly are related, but they physically seem to flow also down into Florida. So maybe like this flow brought material to this crack and then it kind of drained. Maybe it functioned as a drain, like a drainage point, but so much so that it literally filled with sand that concreted. Because from 60, like essentially around 66 million years, the Earth expansion process went from like the continents, like, held as a ball though, with some like openings happening, but they were still together. So any water on the surface really wasn't flowing into the oceans yet. And only after 60, if we oceanic crustal age map, like only the blue sections were there pretty much. So all this green, well, maybe not all, like the later green, like especially in this region, this time frame, the Earth started to grow, and that what that it did so by the currents flowing out into the ocean space. Like initially they were flowing underneath the crust, and that built up pressure until the crust broke apart, and then it flowed between the crust, which led to the oceans. But when it did that, the surface area of the Earth increased, and that caused water to recede to the lowest point, which was the oceans. So it flowed off of the continents into the oceans where it could. And maybe one of the ways that it especially did so was through here, like down through here, but this ridge thing here maybe kind of directed it over this way, so like more so through here than through here. So kind of like an outlet here from this general region. Anything that went to the east of like right here, the Mississippi, anything to the west went through this whole region. That was huge in terms of an outlet. Huge outlet to the west of all this water that was up here. Like there was water like right here swirling. Huge swirl of water, another huge swirl that were heat exchanging with the magma below. And as it did that, it then like didn't need to go over here because the ocean didn't exist yet, but then the ocean existed. So then it flowed out because there was all this pressure here, probably over top the Appalachians somewhat, but around them as well. And then there's a whole ridge this whole way. So basically along this ridge, holding the water somewhat into this area and then just draining out, which then led probably a good amount. I mean, if we look, maybe like I feel like this was the heart of it right here, is like the center of where this vortex was happening here. Ammonite and a water ammonite or something, like an ammonite made of water, maybe centered there, I don't know, but generally centered here. And then here's a snake face type thing, which is suggestive the current went through this way and maybe just went through here. But my thought is maybe this line is relevant. Here's the end of the Appalachians. Here's this line generally. And then up here even maybe. Not sure why. Like a siphuncle. Like current that flowed this way was able to pass through. Something to do with that it provided a degree of a channel for the current to flow, and the Appalachians kind of held a boundary over here that prevented the current from flowing and focused it this way. I wonder, when did the Carolina Bays form? These are considered way more recent. That's why Randall Carlson talks about them. I should have known. Obviously, you want to talk about them if it wasn't Younger Dryas related. Oh, should have known that's when they were considered just by that. Maybe here also some kind of current cutting across this way. Oh, maybe generally going across this way. Across here, across here. Through the mouth, even through Yellowstone. Down through here. That doesn't angle there well, though. Let's look at this map. Florida. Wonder right there. New Madrid. Where's New Madrid? Right there. Okay. I guess I'll stop for now. That's all I got. I'll be back. Thanks for hanging out. 2 hours of me kind of just casual, but that's cool. Alright, peace.